All right, welcome to another video from the chart readers. Today we will be looking at the cannabis sector. We are adding one extra ticker actually. So there was a new ticker that came in on the comments and hey, I figured why not, let's add it to the list. So real quick, if you haven't already, check out the website, chartreaders.com. You can see all the videos. They're a little bit more organized than they are on YouTube. And then if you scroll all the way to the bottom, you'll see a free sign up. It's a weekly email. You get a little bit more detail than what I put on the videos. And then just a really clean look at the overall market, the NASDAQ, the Dow, and the S&P 5. But again, today what are we going to do? We are going to look at the cannabis sector. So like always, we're going to look at the daily chart and the weekly chart. We'll use our moving averages as well as these horizontal support and resistance lines that I manually draw. And then we'll wind it out using these two lower indicators, the MACD and the RSI. If you've watched these videos before, you know I kind of like the RSI just a little bit more than the MACD. So I like to start with what I kind of call the big boy or the bigger player in the sector, and we'll start with Tilray and work our way through. So what's happened, right? Let's talk about this. The last time I made this video was the 12th, and things were actually starting to look a little bullish, right? The one thing that I mentioned on the video after the 12th close was wait for confirmation, okay? Because look, it's really easy to do one good thing, right? You break over this on one single day, but can you do it the next day, right? Follow through, you know, that's what matters, right? You need confirmation, and clearly we did not see that on the next trading day, right? From there, we did kind of start dancing with the 8, right? And we actually were 2 days over. But again, I would almost I need to reestablish this, right? And unfortunately, the following day, we just lost the 8. And then as of the last couple days, we've actually gone below this 319 line. So really, a lot of it failed up here when we didn't get the confirmation, right? It tried to correct itself, but really, in a lot of ways, the market itself hasn't been very good. Today was an ugly day across the 3, and it's just been a little choppy. So you got to expect these individual stocks aren't going to do too well. So it actually looks like I need to draw a couple new lines. Sorry to zoom out so much. Yeah, for sure. This is the last line actually. So let me make one from this cluster. And then it looks like we'll go back in time a little bit for the next couple lines. Yeah, that actually looks like, oh man, and we're actually below that. So immediately we closed under the newest line, right? That's pretty much the lowest, and it hits right here and right here. So closing under this 311 was pretty bad. Give me a second. Let me come to this down here. It looked like a spike. Oh man, there's not much more to draw actually. So after this line is lost, I don't know what the number is. Give me a second. Let me draw this. 250. Man, that is a lot lower than where we're sitting right now. Sorry to zoom so quickly. So again, I'm going to just zoom out to see it. But now that we've closed under 311, the only real line, the only support I have is all the way back here in, what is this? March of 2020, right? And that's a really ugly gap down. So tomorrow is actually a really important day for Tilray. If we do not reestablish 311, I think there's a good chance we start breaking down into the 2s and maybe go even lower. So be careful here with Tilray. Just real quick down here, we have the green line over the red line. I'm sorry, we have the red over the green and the red over the green. Again, red is bad and green is good, right? Just like a traffic light. So we want green on top, and unfortunately, we actually have it below on both. So not good lower indicators there. Look, I've mentioned this a couple times on different videos, right? The first rule is always be over the 8 moving average, right? That's our green line. We've now been under that 8 for 4 months, okay? If your weekly is bad, you're gonna have a bad daily, right? You can't have a bunch of good days but then end with a bad week, right? You need to have more bad days to get a bad week. So it's really important to zoom out a little bit, even if you're just a day trader. Hell, if you're an hourly trader or a 15-minute trader, whatever you are, make sure you zoom back because that is really important. But Tilray, not looking too bullish, actually looking a little bearish immediately. So ACB, I also remember, looked like it was, again, on the 12th, the exact same thing happened, right? So it was looking really bullish, right? We actually broke 1, 2, 3 moving averages and a support line when we made this last video on the 12th, right? But again, you need the confirmations. I realized that this was a big break and we got a confirmation. This was another break and there was no confirmation, right? So a couple different things. If you got in at the early mark, hey, there's still a good little move that you could have made on that 8 break, right? But I always mention when you have clusters, which is essentially multiple moving average lines, as well as maybe an extra horizontal that I manually draw, the clusters are very difficult and you need that extra confirmation to just show it, right? And at this point, it seems like we've lost the cluster, right? It got so tight, and then unfortunately it looks like ACB is working down. But yeah, this bullish uptrend on the 12th was clearly rejected on the next day and it just failed, right? Which is sad, but again, should not have been a surprise because we didn't get the confirmation, right? And again, this is also why I really like my lines, my horizontal support and resistance lines, right? If you can't break it, you're gonna go down, right? So again, same thing with our lower indicators. I see red over green and red over green. Again, like a traffic light, right? So red is bad, green is good. Yeah, I really don't like how far down we are on these moving averages. That's definitely a little worrisome on ACB. And again, it looks so good last video, right? Again, just zooming in, right? There were points where we were just truly over the green for a number of weeks, right? Unfortunately, last week was just a pretty bad killer, and it looks like the follow-through is coming this week as well. Still a little early, but again, a lot needs to happen. At the very minimum on the daily, this is the hourly. On the very minimum on the daily, we got to get back over this cluster. If we can't get back over this 152 line, yeah, we're pretty much heading down to 127. So be careful here, and really sad to see the 12th. It just didn't transpire as we wanted to. So MSOS, this is one of actually the only ETFs I follow, and man, this one has not looked good at all. I remember we were very concerned on the 12th, and clearly it got much worse, right? So what happened, right? We were trading over the 8, doing really well. Then this 100 moving line average, this came right here and just clearly rejected us. And we just started working our way down. Right here, around the 6th, is really where we started to lose the 8. It seemed like we were trying to go back, right? Obviously, we failed down here. And then, like I said, we were a little worried on the last video, and clearly we've seen what transpires, right? And one more time, I think this is a really good example of why I like these moving averages a lot. Number one, if you're over the 8, it's generally good. This is also why I always worry when there's another line coming, right? Because it's going to be a natural resistance. And then from there, once you're trading under the 8, once you start losing other lines, it gets horrible, right? So stay over the 8 is rule number 1, and then work your way above the rest is rule number 2, right? So, but yeah, MSOS is not looking good, and it looks even worse on the weekly, in all honesty, right? Hopefully this 1034 line is a good bounce. Otherwise, man, there is actually no more lines to draw, and we might be coming into all-time lows for MSOS. Really sad, actually. HEXO. So HEXO is a pretty deep penny stock, right? We're literally sitting at 19 cents, right? Make sure whatever you're trading on can see all the decimals out. What I use doesn't look at all the decimals out, right? I only see 2 here. So again, make sure you know your system before you trade. But look, it's the same chart we see, the same pattern as the last few, right? There was obviously not MSOS, but the last individual tickers we saw, there was a real nice uptrend till the 12th. There was a fair amount of bullishness, but none of them were able to confirm and really do this fail down again, right? So it's good. Look, obviously it's bad news, but I like seeing consistency across the sector. That is actually really important for me. From there, again, look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days trading under the 8, right? You can see all of these are under this 8 line. So, and again, we lose this line that I draw and we drop to the next one. We lose this line and we're now working our way down. Is there even a next one? Oh, man. This is getting ugly, HEXO. Be careful. Let me draw the next one pretty much off of this guy. and we're actually on it to the penny. Look at that. I literally just made it off the last green candle, and you'll see we literally closed to the penny on it. Sorry to zoom out so much, but man, if this opens negative tomorrow, there's a very high likelihood of us going into, actually, if you look, this should be a little bit higher. I should actually go to there, and technically we're under that line. So this must open positive tomorrow. If not, HEXO is coming to all-time lows. Very scary there, actually. Be careful. CGC, this was another one I remember was looking bullish on the 12th, and again, the exact same pattern, right? 4 days going up on the 12th, and just looks so good. Boom, we hit our line. We come to this 100 basically, and both of these combine to a fail that we see across. There are a few more lines here, but again, look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days trading under the 8. We're now under the 50. Hopefully we don't lose this 306, right? Because if we do, we're coming down to this 275 range. So CGC not looking good on the daily. And look, 2 days in a row, 2 weeks in a row, we're trading under the 8, right? Still a little early in this week, but again, we're a lot lower than we want to be. And again, if your weeks are bad, if your weekly chart is bad, your dailies will be bad. And you're at least going to have 3 days out of the 5 that are bad, or 1 horrible day and 4, decent whatevers, right? So it's important to zoom out before you trade. But again, they all have that same pattern of looking bullish on the 12th and then just failing across the sector, right? Sandal, look, it's not as magnified, but look, it went up, came down, actually tried to go up again, but not as high as it came this one, right? And then the fail. So it's not as magnified as the other ones were, but it's the exact same pattern, right? Making a couple good day up, gap down, actually makes a second attempt, right? Actually 2 days that the others didn't, but again, just never quite got as high. I can't make the line because it's never got as high as that, actually. So we failed to break this 280, which ultimately was my 281 line, right? So again, this is why I love my moving averages and these horizontals. They do mean a lot. I'm really not talking a lot about these lower indicators because, again, about 80% of the work is up here and no one's really looking good up here, right? So a little worrisome to see it, but again, across the sector, everything's pretty much doing the same. Look, it doesn't look like it, but 1, 2, 3, 4 months again under the 8, right? This one tried to get over it, but didn't. This one started over it, but ended right here. This was the last week we were up here, and this was, what, end of August, right? So almost a month ago, and exactly, right? 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks equals a month, right? So Sandal, and really, again, just running across the, running across the industry, yeah, it's looking bad. Again, we see that 4-day run to the 12th, comes back down. Again, these clusters, right? It's really important to break and get confirmation. I'll be honest, CRON seemed like it was going to give that break and confirmation. This is a pretty bullish day on the 12th. Unfortunately, doesn't get to the line, doesn't get to the 200, and really, like I said, just follows the sector. This is just such a tight cluster right here, right? 1, 2, 3 days under the 8. Hopefully it tries to get back over, but again, I wouldn't touch this thing until we get over this 313 line, right? Got to get over the 8 at the very minimum, and obviously over the rest. But right now we're a few days under this cluster. Even this day ended under the cluster. So we're 3 full days under the cluster, and that's a very bad confirmation, right? I'll look at the weekly real quick. Again, just so tight on the weekly as well. It's only 2 lines here, but 2 lines as well as this 313. Something's going to happen, right? And just the way that the market's looking, it kind of seems like it might be going down. So be very careful across these. GNLN. So this is the new one, Green Lane Holding. I'll be too honest, I'm not too familiar with it, but again, the exact same thing. Good 4-day run onto the 12th, does not break it, doesn't get the confirmation over the line, and then just a number of days trading under the 8 moving average, right? Again, we love trading over the 8. There's nothing better, right? Just you can see all these are basically just running down and running below the 8, right? I'm zooming out to see if there's actually any more lines I can draw here. No, we are sitting at all-time lows. So I hate saying it, but you never want your money in all-time lows. It's a horrible thing. I'll tell you, I'm just going to draw a couple lines really quickly. But again, I wouldn't touch this thing with a 10-foot pole until we were over this green and pretty much over this 240, right? Because 240 will at least get me this, but really also need to get over this, right? So I would say the safest play would be a break. Man, that's even a little high. I think we can maybe throw a line right there. It's not a big gap, but it is actually 10% if you look at it. So look, I would say the safest play is a break of 274 and you ride this 10% gap, right? Because even this, though this looks like a big gap, there's a line right there, right? So that 20 will be difficult to get over for sure. So again, a newer ticker, unfortunately seeing a little bit more of the devastation across the sector. So again, I hope you are enjoying these videos. I hope you're learning, right? The power of technical analysis is actually really good. But yeah, I hope you're learning. More videos coming tomorrow.